It's happening. Donald Trump will sit down with none other than Joe Rogan on Friday. Trump has made the calculated gamble that this one conversation is worth canceling all other events that day, and he's probably right. Surprise, surprise, the liberal magazine, The New Republic, is slamming this much-anticipated sit-down between the former president and the host of the biggest podcast in the world. They published a headline that calls Rogan, quote, one of the worst people ever in history. Now, Rogan is laughing this off. He actually posted that article as a badge of honor to his 500 million followers on X. It's surely to Trump's benefit to do this. He's made a concerted effort to lock in young male voters who disproportionately listen to podcasts, including Joe Rogan's. In the past few months, Trump has sat down with podcasters like Lex Fridman, Theo Von, wrestler Mark Calloway, aka The Undertaker, to name just a few.
And X is going wild over this forthcoming interview. Jordan Peterson posted, quote, hey Joe, I hear you got Trump. Congrats, grill him good and see what's there. Journalist Glenn Greenwald wrote, quote, liberals think Dick and Liz Cheney, Bill Kristol and George W. Bush are honourable and moral patriots, while Joe Rogan is, quote, one of the worst people ever, unquote, due, of course, to all the wars, torture programmes, illegal domestic spying, kidnapping, coups and mass murder Rogan implemented. Another user posted, quote, Joe Rogan finally interviewing Trump will give him an amazing boost right before the election. These long-form interviews are where Trump shines. And former presidential candidate Andrew Yang wrote, quote, so now that Trump is going on Rogan, I think Kamala Harris should publicly say she'll go on too. It's the biggest audience one can get.
I hope Kamala Harris does go on Joe Rogan. I hope she asked to do so, and that he does this. If he's going to have one on, he should have the other.
Yep.
I mean, it's his show. He can do whatever he wants.
Right.
Previously, he said he's not wanted to interview Donald Trump because he didn't want to give the appearance of helping out Trump at all. That's a direct quote from him. But of course, he's had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on a number of times. He's had Elon Musk on.
I think it is good that there are long-form interviews at all. One of the advantages of podcasting has been the capacity to have these very long interviews. Frankly, and no disrespect to Joe Rogan, they're a bit too long for me to tune into. But I see the clips come up on social media and elsewhere. I have never fully understood exactly what the Liberal complaint against Joe Rogan is. I think he may have...
I absolutely predict that that's what we're going to hear all of next week.
I do think, generally speaking, it is good to have people, whether it be Joe Rogan or other people, in that podcast space. You and I have disagreements about some things, but also I think a degree of skepticism about the sort of the cable news ecosystem and people preaching to the converted or staying within very, very orthodox trenches in who they have on, what they say, what is permitted to be said. So if people like Joe Rogan give a wider number of people the capacity to be heard, so long as it is not defamatory, of course, I don't really have an objection to that. And I think it is plainly, in Rogan's case, finding a huge audience. But even among podcasters who are less well known than him, there are obviously a lot of people who are getting a big audience from people who are dissatisfied with the existing media choices.
I mean, this show, Rising, exploded in the first place because the previous hosts before me, Crystal Ball and Sagar Enjeti, they went on Joe Rogan, and he was a fan of theirs. He was a fan of Rising at the time. Maybe he still catches some episodes of ours now every now and then. Yeah. And the channel grew tremendously just because of that showcase. It really goes to show you there's nothing else like it on the internet or anywhere. The massive audience he has of people, right, who aren't just watching cable news all day or not plugged into who primarily get their political related news from listening to this. I know, friends, family members, etc. like this who aren't so plugged into, the campaign news, CNN, Fox, whatever, but they love listening to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that Kamala Harris should go on.